Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mind Over Matter for Thursday, January 27th, I believe. 28th, January 28th. Look at that. I don't even know what day it is. All right. Well, there's something to be said for that where my focus is not on the exact date. Today's topic is, of course, focus. What you focus on is where you will go, is the direction you will go. It sounds pretty obvious when a phrase like that is first brought into your sight lines is that, of course, what I focused on is going to be what I of course what I focus on is what hold on a second, I might be having a problem with my microphone again. I have to do a quick little adjustment here to see if it makes a difference. I do apologize if the sound is a little different or off, because I realize now that perhaps my Bluetooth microphone wasn't plugged in properly. So it's probably using the microphone on my laptop, which I know is not as good as the Bluetooth one that I normally use. So I will continue on because I do believe you can hear me. And if you can't hear me and you can, or if it's a terrible sound, feel free to let me know and I'll do what I can to try and make it better. But moving forward, the concept that I wanted to talk to you about was the focus is the direction that you will go. And like I said, often that simple concept seems to be obvious, but when we take a more critical look at the concept of focus, and I do believe that one of the major flaws in the world today overall is critical thinking, and people's inability to use critical thinking. So especially when it comes to thinking about themselves, people are really good at being critical and thinking about other people, but they're certainly the challenge is often when you drop that mirror in front of you and then try to do some critical thinking. But on the subject of focus, it is so often that I find people are distracted from the goals that they have because the shift in focus, it's the shiny object syndrome. You often things will happen, or a new idea will come down, or because when you start to get into your routines. And so my focus, as an example, I can use the online system of the global online franchise as an example. What we try to teach there is quite simply become the master list builder. Develop skills to become a list building machine. Because you've heard the phrase 100 times, perhaps you haven't, the money is in the list. Sure, we can show you how to make money, just, and it's, lots of one-time money, here it is, you got some money. But are you looking to generate long-term financial benefits? So your actions right now need to also be in line, focused, and congruent with what you're looking for long-term. A great example of the money is in the list. Now, this is someone who has a list that's in the hundreds of thousands. As an experiment, when I was first learning some of these new skills and how this all works, he did an experiment for me. And the experiment was quite simple. He went and found a product online in one of the marketplaces, ClickBank, JVZoo, there's a bunch of them out there. And he developed a letter, actually 3 letters, that he was going to use to send to his list or lists. It's not usually one list with 100,000 people, and it's usually multiple lists because they all have different niches and that kind of thing. So, but he was going to be sending out these letters to, I believe, 300,000 people on a couple of different lists that were in the same niche. He was going to be going away for a weekend for a family event, and the experiment was to, and he knew what the results were going to be. He was just using it to show me and to give me the conceptual, or pardon me, the conscious awareness of what is possible. The letters were to go out on Thursday evening, Friday evening, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday morning. That's when the 3 emails went out. On Monday, we reconvened. Wild guess on how much money he made? Over $4,000. This was not a product that was worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. No, it was a small product worth $25 to $50 range, which is what a lot of the products are in the ClickBank marketplace. But it was done to prove a point and set an example as to what is possible. Now, what happens when something like this is brought in front of you, or brought to your attention, you immediately start to think about that money. Focus shifts, and now all you can think about doing is trying to replicate that money. Yet you haven't even scratched the surface of what it takes to get to the point where you can send out 3 emails over a weekend while you go away and come home to $4,000. The work involved is simply building a list. Always be building your list. I get clogged up in Facebook just as much as the next person, but what gets me turned inside out is when I spend so much time in a Facebook group that I'm a part of, trying to help people to get the heck out of Facebook and get to work. They spend more time asking questions than they do actually taking action. Because I know that everybody has a finite little time that they're planning to use to build a business online, but yet they spend it all surfing Facebook posts trying to read what everybody else is doing. The information is there and available, and the training is there. The simple fact remains is this: your focus must be on list building. Don't get distracted by what you're going to do with that list once you have it, because you need to have it before you can worry about what you're going to do with it. The chicken before the egg theory. I heard a great phrase just this morning. When you see something beautiful, whether it's a piece of art or nature, let's just use art as an example. You see a piece of art. Now, is the art beautiful because it brings delight, or does it bring delight because it's beautiful? I know I called it a beautiful piece of art. I'll retract that. It's just a piece of art. You find a piece of art, and you suddenly feel that you have delight. It's bringing you that feeling of delight. Is it because the picture is beautiful, or is it because the picture is beautiful because you got delight? See the chicken or the egg? Same thing with list versus, or building a list versus making money from your list. You need to do things in order. This one doesn't matter. This one does matter. You can waste all your time setting up your autoresponders and all your letters and all those fancy things that go with it. But if you're not putting any people in those lists every single day, who's seeing those letters? Who's taking the opportunity to buy the products that you're promoting? Or let's just say you're creating goodwill letters, the know, like, and trust letters that are just, asking people how they're doing, trying to build a relationship, depending on what your goal is for that list. Some lists are just straight up make money off it. That's all they're for. But if you aren't putting people on that list, it's irrelevant to what you do. Almost erroneous, if you will. The fact remains is that your primary goal needs to be list building, and fight off the distractions that take your focus off of the goal. Another story that I was working with this morning, another person I was working with this morning created the story that I want to tell you about. This one person, they send me quite frequently sort of their plans, how they're doing, what they're up to, what my opinion is. They want my feedback. The subject of the email was my new plan. And I just kind of dropped my head a little bit before I even opened it and thought, oh boy, why does it have to be a new plan? But I think, you know what? I'm going to take a deep breath. We're going to get into the email, and we're going to just see, maybe it's just a poor title. Nope, I was right on point. Some of the things that first point in his email was that this was challenging, or something was challenging, so we're going to do less of that. And then there was something about what kind of direction they want to take over here, and that this was really good, and that this was awesome. And after I found this product, I really think that I'm going to pour some energy into here. And all the things led to one similar pattern that I've dealt with before with this individual, is that you get into the routine of doing things. This can happen in your daily life, whether it's your job, whether it's your children, whether it's your relationships, whatever it is. You get into this routine where everything is normal and everything is the same and almost cookie cutter like. And although the focus is to have a specific intent, it gets a little bit boring. I would say, not on a consciously aware level boring, where you're like, oh my goodness, I can't stand this whole routine where we get up and we eat breakfast together and we do this and we do that, or I can't, I drive my kids to school, we drop them off, you don't really consciously aware think, oh, this is boring. You just become a little bit numb to the routine. How many times have you driven down the road and got to your destination and then thought to yourself, how the heck did I get here? Because you don't remember the lights, you don't remember the traffic around you, you don't remember if you smiled at somebody, if you waved at somebody, you don't remember any of that. And why is that? Because it's part of the routine. So you become just almost numb to the routine. And then something else comes along that looks shiny and new. And you say to yourself, oh my goodness, I need to be doing this. And before you know it, you've completely derailed the train. Because you've shifted your focus enough that you actually start going in another direction when and it takes you away from where you want it to be. I've had this happen to me many, many, many times in my lifetime, just trying to realize the dreams that I have. Some of the goals and dreams that I have wanted since I was in my early 20s. Being now in my early 40s, I still haven't achieved all those goals. But there's a specific reason why. I allowed my focus to be distracted numerous times. Every time a shiny object showed up, I went, oh, hey, wait a minute. And then, boom, I was off and derailed. The fact remains is this. All good things will be challenged. You've heard me say that time and time again, and you will continue to hear me say it as long as you spend any time listening to the words that come out of my mouth. And those challenges are designed to make you stronger and better, not give you cause to change direction. Having said that, at times, some challenges are definitely there to wake you the heck up. A dear friend of mine was in a very serious car accident yesterday. Sometimes those types of events are designed to slow you down. External forces have decided, you know what? Whatever you might believe, the external forces have decided that it's time for you to take a step back. Okay? Focus is critical. What you focus on is the direction you will go, involuntarily or not. Whether you deliberately decide, I want to focus on this, which is what I strongly urge you to do, by writing it down, making notes, knowing exactly what direction you want to go, because unless you write that direction down, the distractors can win the battle, because the mind is so weak when it comes to that kind of thing. You need something that you can put in front of your face and read daily that says, this is the direction I'm going today, this is the direction I'm going this week, this is the direction I'm going this month, this is the direction I'm going this half year. This is the direction I'm going this year. This is the direction I'm going in the next 5 years. This is the direction I'm going in the next 10 years. Do you see what? Better known as goal setting. I have tried to refocus the one individual I mentioned who sent me the email with their new plan, that they should have a goal of getting 100 leads a day added to their list. Now, some of you might be sitting back, what do you mean 100? I can barely even get 100 in a month. Great. Because that's where you've started. That doesn't mean that's where you finish. What you're trying to achieve is continued growth through the development of your skills. But during that process of developing your skills, some complacency can get set in, and then when something new comes along, it can distract you. And if it distracts you enough, it will actually change the angle of your focus. And once you change that angle, you could be out of control. You take an airplane that takes off in Los Angeles, flying to New York. If they take off and their compass or whatever instrument they're using, because I'm not a pilot clearly, but whatever instrument they're using that directs that plane, if it's as much as 1 degree off, they'll be thousands of miles away from New York when they get to the East Coast. That's all it takes, is one tiny little degree of shift. Now again, if your specific intent is to change your direction and your trajectory, go for it. But if you're on a path that you want to be on, that's the key, a path that you want to be on, then you need to safeguard your trajectory, because it will be challenged over and over and over and over again by new items, new ideas, new people, new opportunities, some good, some bad. You might fall completely in your face and completely lose some ground on the direction you're headed. But again, success comes from how many times you get back up, not how many times you're knocked down. So if your focus is in the direction you want to go and you're 100% clear about that, then just safeguard that trajectory is what I'm hoping to put across to you today. I think the last point I want to make regarding focus is, at times, well, this is where review comes from, and you need to review where you're headed so that you know that your focus is in the right area. There needs to be an anchor in whatever direction you're going, almost like a tether. It's just bolted down into the ground, so that's your center, and then your trajectory can move on the 360-degree axis that creates, right? And so when you've got that anchor, then you can move in the direction away from the axis point with confidence. But you need to stop and review from time to time to make sure that maybe you need to change your trajectory. Maybe you need something different. Maybe you need change. Change isn't easy. It's not fun for anyone. I've never met a person that told me that they love change. Yeah, sure, people talk and they spout off about how, change is good and da-da-da. Yeah, but are we talking about little minor changes, like somebody changed where the furniture is in your living room? We're talking wholesale life changes. You find out that you have some sort of illness that isn't fatal, although it's going to alter the way you live your life. That's a major change. Nobody loves that. That doesn't mean that you can't succeed or have progress inside of that. It just means that it's not a lot of fun. People, Everybody can relate to relationship challenges where things don't work out. And those kinds of changes are terrible. Just remember that the focus that you choose, and make no mistake about it, it is a choice. The focus that you choose is the direction you're going to go. So if you do not like the direction that you're going, it's on you to make a choice to change that focus. If you are moving in the right direction and accomplishing the goals you need to accomplish and want to accomplish, it's your job to make sure that you safeguard that focus. Going back to the online marketing example, if your goal is to make a secondary income from internet marketing or online or from the internet, then you need to find the people, such as myself and other people with the Global Online Franchise, that are doing exactly what it is that you're trying to do. And rather than try to reinvent the wheel, perhaps just allow them to give you some guidance on what your focus should be. Yeah, you know what? Marketing and advertising isn't always exciting. It can get a little bit monotonous and it can get a little bit routine. I know, I do it. However, if you haven't set any markers or goals for how many leads you're going to get every day or every week or every month or however you want to do it, I would say no more than a week. You have to be gut checking yourself at least once a week. Then if you haven't set any of those goals, then you are missing the mark by a long shot. Never mind 1 degree. You're about 15, 20, 30, perhaps even 180 degrees off the mark. Why? Because if you're not developing your skills on a daily basis on how to generate leads, not make sales, generate leads, then you are wasting a lot of time learning skills that you can never use. You can be the best salesperson in the world. Literally close out like 90% of the people you talk to, which is really completely unheard of. But let's just say you close out 90% of the people that you talk to. If you don't have anybody to talk to, then you don't have any sales. I could be a terrible salesperson and only close out 10% of the people I talk to. I could destroy the guy who gets 90% of his sales if we had a contest. Why? Because I know how to generate leads. So I can talk to 1,000 times more people than he will. If he talks to one, he's likely to get the sale. I'm going to talk to 1,000. I'm going to get 10 sales. You see how that works? So Mr. 90% talks to 10 people. He gets 9 sales. I talk to 100 people. I get 10 sales. I win the contest specifically. I hope that makes sense to you guys, that your focus needs to be, especially in the internet marketing industry, and this is the reason why I'm circling back to it, because Mind Over Matter is a production for Global Online Franchise members. You need to be focused on becoming a master list builder. That is the skill that you want so bad. It's the skill that you want to have in spades, where you can at any moment generate 100 leads. Boom. I need 100 leads in this niche because I have this awesome product I think will sell. Great. Off you go. Go generate 100 leads so you can talk to 100 new people. Wouldn't that, for anybody who's ever done anything when it comes to, let's say, network marketing or sales of any kind, if you had the capacity to immediately conjure up within a week 500 leads at any moment, Would that be helpful? Of course it would. That's why it is the most valuable skill, and the one that it's, again, maybe not the most glamorous, but I tell you what, very often the least glamorous skills are the most valuable. That's it for today. I hope this focus on your direction was helpful to you. We'll see you again next week at 10:30 a.m. Central Time for Mind Over Matter. Take care. Bye now.